What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Madhouse. And I'm excited to talk about deck lists. And for this one, we're talking deck lists of some of the best players in Lorcana for the legendary cross-continental clash, the LCCC. You guys saw the last one, you loved it, and it's back at it. Is Zach Bivens going to be able to defend his title? We're going to find out. There are some changes. Let's talk rules really quick for this one because there's a really big change that you guys are really going to love with this one. And it's right there. It's big, bright, and yellow. Players can change in their ink colors between each round. And what that essentially means is that the players have decided their ink colors. They picked their decks, their deck one deck list, their week one deck list. We're going to go over those. But whatever colors they picked for week one, that's what they're running for the rest of the tournament. So we have DKP on red blue. He can only play red blue for the rest of the tournament, but he can change out any of the cards in that list as long as it stays red blue. And that's something that I don't know. I'm really excited for. I'm really excited for that because the meta is going to develop. People are going to want to try new things, test new things. It keeps it exciting for everybody watching. It keeps it exciting for the players. I think it's really awesome. So again, Pavel just coming in and being just a champion of the Lorcana community. Huge shout out to you, man. Make sure you guys show him some love and support. He has a Patreon where he donates almost all the proceeds he gets on the Patreon. I think he donates all of them, actually. He runs Pixelborn Connect, just an amazing human being. They had to turn in all their deck lists already. That's what we're going over. The first match will start on March 12th, all right? That's going to be Sailor versus your homeboy Spey, right? Double elimination format. All games are best of 3. There's team captains. You got Zan on NA and Moyen for EU. Match duration, no limit, so no time limit. And Phil will be the head judge. No intentional draws either. So you're going to see all these game live streamed like you did last time. So going into it, what are the colors we're going to see throughout this tournament? Well, here you go. All right, we have 6 blue steel, which I'm sure we all expected. We have 4 red blue, 1 amber steel, 1 green steel, 1 purple steel, 1 green yellow, 1 head judge. That's Phil Enchanted. Huge shout out to him for head judging this event. He just continues to be everywhere. An amazing human being. We have 1 on red purple and 1 on green blue. And then these are the players that are in the event. Okay, we got Zach Bivens, Diego Saz, better known as level 9001. Kurt Spice, Theotime, Spey, Sailor, Mo, Federico. We got DKP, Zan, LD, Domingo, The Rat, Moyen, Ed, and Artabax. Some of the best players we have in Lorcana that were willing to donate their time to this event and able to donate their time to this event. So huge shout out to them. Now, remember, these are the colors we'll see for the whole tournament. They can change their deck lists, but these are the colors, all right? With that being said, let's jump into the first deck list we're going to look at. We have Diego Saz. We have level 9001 on yellow-green. Some of you guys may have already seen this list. He did post it on his Twitter. But we're just doing some aggro mid-rangey stuff here. We've got Daisies and Pegasus, so it's pretty nice. You got 8 1-drops that quest for 2. That's really sexy. You have the Piglets in here that are potentially questing for 3 that are protected by the Prince. That's really nice. We have Hey Hey coming in here questing for 2. Some Cloud Kicker to bounce stuff back. This is one thing. I'll be interested how much green actually runs Kit. There's not a lot for Kit to bounce anymore, right? So that is something I imagine we'll see change as time goes on. 3 Crickies, that's turning your Prince into a 3/5. That's pretty nice. Your Pegasus into a 4/1, 4/1. Even your Cursed Merfolk could challenge into something, but even better, your Tramp can challenge into something and has a really big 6 butt, which is really nice. Now, one of the amazing combos about this list is that we do have all these 1-drops, so you can spam these 1-drops, get a Tramp down, discard a bunch of characters because all you have are characters to spam out a Chernobog's. And an early Chernobog's can be death for a lot of decks. We saw Paul do really well with his yellow-green at the Southside Gaming 10 case event. And Blue Steel just can't deal with a big Chernobogs early on. Like they just don't have an answer for it. And if they do, they're having to trade a whole bunch of characters or spend a big turn in dealing with the Chernobogs. So we still have the Clarabelle to get some cards back, all this stuff. So just a good aggro, mid-rangey yellow green that's seeing success. This one I will imagine we'll run into some of the same issues that Paul ran into. It's very susceptible to Big Sisu. There's nothing in here to stop Big Sisu. Now, you do have Kit, so that is interesting. You do have Kit that would let you bounce back a Baby Sisu, and Baby Sisu is only removing one character versus a Big Sisu wiping your whole board. So that is something. That is an idea that actually doesn't feel awful because if you had to choose between your whole board or one character, I think we all know what we would choose. So Diego, level 9001, I believe he plays actually on the 12th also. So we'll get to see this list in action. Next up, we have Sailor, and I'm sure you all figured where this one would be. We have Sisu on ice, and this is kind of what I expected I would see. We see the Medusas coming back because of Sapphire Coil, and that was, yeah, 100%. And when I first saw Sapphire Coil, I just had a feeling that Sailor would be bringing her back, and why not? She's such an animal now, being able to, with just inking one card, your Madame Medusa can take out Tamatoas, can take out even the big Tamatoa. Like, there's just a lot of things that she can answer. If you ink twice, she can take out a Maui Half Shark. That's really nice. Like, so this deck, it just has some great control. As you can see, still running the Maui Half Sharks, so running 4 Half Sharks, 3 Pirates Life. So still using that as your heavy win con. You'll notice there's still no Dime and there's no big Tamatoa. So that is something to note. You're still relying on the Maui Half Shark to get there, to get those wins. Also, something to notice, 2 hideaways, okay, which I think is a really good idea. It's going to answer the Lucky Dimes really well. It's going to answer those Maurice's workshops that we're going to see Blue Steel has. It even answers McDuck Manor really well. You don't need to worry about Vitalosphere and Half Shark when you can just hide away a McDuck Manor. And why not, right? So, and then of course, we'd still have the Sisu package as well as Be Prepared's. Opting to only run 3 How Far All goes. Something to note about that is you're running Medusas, right? So you do have to be cautious of your uninkables. Right now, Sailor's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So only 13, which is actually pretty light for red blue, I believe. Actually, I think that's really light. So just opting to even just go down to continue making it light. It's really hard to brick when you have only 13 uninkables. So really nice. I'm sure it's going to go really well for Sailor. His first matchup being Spey, as you guys saw. And I believe it's tomorrow, no, on the 12th of March at 1 p.m. Eastern time, I believe. 1 or 3. There's 2 matches on the 12th. The one's at 3 and one's at 3. One's at 1 and one's at 3. Moving on. That was hectic. We have Ed. All right. And if you thought Ed was the red purple player, well, you were wrong because Ed is on a 2-liner red blue list. And this is what he's going to be playing for the entire LCCC. And it is, yeah, it's just a 2-liner list. Like, look at this thing. It is doing some DKP stuff, but he's opting to run Scar. So he is just, that's a lot of 7 costs on Inkable there. That's, excuse me, but when you look at this, that's really interesting because when you run that, you're really going to answer Kiwi really well. Like, that's something to note. Now, if Kiwi does get behind a, let's say the dog, right? The dog. What is the name of the dog? Pluto. If Kiwi's hidden behind a Pluto, Scar's only going to clear that Pluto, right? Unless you have something like a Tipo or a Tala down to trade into it first. But if you do, Scar's going to clear the whole board, all right? And then you have B Prep to clear the rest of the board. On Inkables, you're only on 12, which feels fine. With that being said, 8 of them are rather expensive. But something to note, he's running 4 Fishbone. So if he goes into something where he doesn't need those scars, it's easy ink, right? So he's just opting to do a lot of ramping. He can't dig quite as well as DKP's more burn focused one with the super goose and the develop your brains, but he can get to really high ink really quickly and just kind of rock and roll. Get the Grammatala down to seeing how far I'll go, or Flaversham to seeing how far I'll go. I'm interested to see how this goes. It's gonna be a really good one to watch and see how it develops. I hate seeing Fishbone Quill back in red blue. I really do. I really do. All right, moving on though. We have our first blue steel list in this video, and it's Zan. And if you look at his list, I believe this is exactly what he played for the Southside Gaming 10 case event, and it looks like it is opting to run the 3 T-Pos and the 2 Maurice's Workshop. Remember, Jeremy ran the 2 T-Pos and the 3 Maurice's Workshop. So not much more to say on this. It's the hot topic. It's the hot thing right now that everybody's talking about. Is Oswald good, right? If you saw the 20 lore blue steel page, is Oswald good? Is Oswald bad? You will find out, right? But right now, statistically, Oswald's great. So are we going to be proven wrong? Or is someone going to show us that Oswald is not that good after all? But the deck just does what it does really well, right? In the matches where you can't control them, maybe you don't get the bell down, you can race to your Tamatoas, your Scrooge combos into your big Tamatoas and your dimes, and just Tamatoa can cheat out a lucky dime. Like, I don't know, a lot of cool combo pieces this deck can do. So we're gonna see how it does against, well, another big opponent here really soon. Moving on though, we have Kurt Spice. And for those of you that don't remember Kurt won his nationals invite. I believe he got 10th at the North America Continentals, and he was running the Amber Steel Diggy Diggy Hole variant with the Chin Pose and the Rapunzel's Tower. So this time though, running some Baltimore Ravens, running some green steel. And looking at this list, we saw some some green steel at the Southside Gaming 10 case event, where we saw some amazing Pete stuff on the stream. So we see the Pete coming back here, opting to run 3 muses. Again, there's not a lot of stuff to bounce right now. When you look at what the meta is, and blue steel being really prevalent and red blue being really prevalent, there's not a lot of things that muses is bouncing. With that being said, there's stuff of yours you can bounce. You could bounce a Lucifer, you could bounce your Ursula, you can bounce your own Doc. Like, that is always something. It doesn't have to be your opponent's cards. You can bounce your own characters. We are opting to run the 2-hitting Cove, and I flatten them. So opting to kind of go into those items decks, just use this it's another song that activates muses. It banishes all items, which isn't bad. Worst case scenario, it's an inkable card. 2 Lucifers, just make them empty their hands, right? You might not win fast, but if they can't play anything because they don't have anything, that's a pretty good way to win as well. And we don't talk about Bruno. So this deck has a lot of ways it can deal with those Tamatoas. It has a lot of ways to deal with what the meta is right now. So we'll see how it does. We'll see how this kind of green steel develops as the LCCC goes on. Next up, we have Mo Shamblin. And this one's really cool because if you guys remember, Mo Shamblin he won first in Swiss, or first going in, he was top seed going into the NA Continentals and on green purple. So it's looking a little bad for green purple when the 2 A-listers, Artabax and Mo, have left green purple. But Mo at least stuck with green, and he's running this Baja Blast. And it is quite a unique Baja Blast at that. We don't see any of the Bend to My Will. We don't see any of the Peter Pans or the Genies. It's a very different version of blue green. Now, when we look at this list, we have Cloud Kickers, the Muses. We are throwing in the Sapphire Coil though, so lots of ability to bounce stuff. We have lots of ramp, and then of course he's running the ink geysers. So lots of opportunity if you get down, this Baymax to start controlling the board that way. You get Clarabelle to refill your hand, and then you hit him with an ink geyser. Now you get a whole bunch of stuff back while also your opponent doesn't have the ink to do what they want. So that hurts a lot too. And I think that we have a lot of doom and gloom going on about Bell and Blue Steel and Blue Red, but those decks run a lot of ink. They need a lot of ink to do what they want to do. Sure, Blue Steel can cheat out a Bell and a Scrooge and like all this stuff, but again, they need ink to make the majority of their gameplay actually happen. And then when you're running Sapphire Coil and your muses can bounce their Tamatoas without any problem, again, I don't care if you play a Tamatoa over and over and over again, and I just keep bouncing it. All you're doing is bringing back items into your hand. And if you play those items over and over and over again, all you're doing is running your deck low. Like I could see this deck being able to deck out these items, blue steel lists. I could see it doing fine. One thing to note, I'm interested to see how it does into the blue steel kiwi builds because Muses and Kit isn't going to be bouncing those Alices. And with that though, you still with when you have Sapphire Coil, you can bounce a lot of stuff. Like there's a lot of ink going on here. Sure, you can't bounce Alices, but you can bounce everything else on their list pretty much. And if they're not turning their Alices sideways, if they're not turning their Cogsworth sideways, then you win anyways because you'll just turn sideways with your stuff. So it's going to be interesting. I wonder, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see what Mo does with this. It's very different than what we've seen him play before, which was just a very aggro approach, spam the board with one drops, whereas now our the list has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15 plus 4 is 19 plus 6 is 25, only 25 characters. Like he ran, I think 18 one-drop characters in his green purple list. But the other side is McDuck Manners. So you cheat all this stuff out, you slam a McDuck Manor or two, then you hit him with an ink geyser. How are they banishing your McDuck Manor at that point when you're just bouncing all their characters? So I'm really excited to see how this goes, and I can't wait to talk to Mo after his first match and talk to him and see how it felt. But moving on, we have Moyen, and Moyen coming in here with the blue steel and a different blue steel at that. We still have the Tamatoas, of course, because you have to run it, but he's opting to run these Cogsworth, which is going to make all of his stuff super sticky. He has 2 last cannons, and this is one you don't see very often. This is a pay 1, and you pay 1, you banish this item, chosen character gains challenger +3 this turn. So you have a lot of monsters now. Like you can challenger +3 is a big deal. Like you can now clear things that people might not expect. And so now they have to respect that you run something that gives challenger +3. Even your Cogsworth becomes a menace to society. So you can kind of control the board. You still have the Bell with the song package here, the Cindy package, I'm just gonna call it. You still have the Flaversham with the overpowered draw package, Tamatoa bringing more draw. You have even more items to make Bell work, plus Flaversham work. You have the Tamatoa and the dime, the baby Tamatoa to cheat out the dime, and then you have Fishbone Quill just to get your ramp on. So you can start just spamming Flaversham, spamming characters, and you go to town. And when you have Scrooge McDuck to help you dig for dime, then you can just make things happen. So another sexy list. We see a lot of blue steel lists going into the LCCC. We're going to see a lot of blue lists for the majority of our future of this set. But they're different, and I like that. They're experimenting, they're trying to find what really works. It's going to make each blue steel game rather unique because you never know exactly what they're running, which is annoying, but at least it's all not exactly the same, which makes it a little bit more fun. So moving on, we do have Artabax. He abandoned green purple and picked up this version of tempo, and that's just it. Like he always ran a tempo green purple, and that's what he's running here, a very tempo blue steel. If you guys were tracking him when at a recent tournament this past weekend, he took second. He played Blue Steel only in top 8, lost to Blue Steel in finals. One thing to note, somebody get this man a fourth Tamatoa. Like, he's only running 3. Excuse me. He's only running 3 Tamatoas because he doesn't have a fourth yet. He hadn't pulled his fourth. So someone get this man a fourth Tamatoa. All right. He needs a shop near him to open a case and get a fourth Tamatoa and call him up. But it's just a very tempo Blue Steel list. And it's just doing that tempo stuff, right? You get a Captain Hook down or a Bell down on turn 1. You go into a Calhoun or a Smee. You go into a Binja or a Lawrence. So it has some tempo plus some overpowered tempo with Bell on turn 1 singing songs, Grandma Tala helping you dig for songs, Cogsworth helping your stuff stay alive. And then if they be prep, right, you turn around and you slam down a McDuck Manor or two, which is difficult to deal with. That McDuck Manor pretty much guaranteeing at least 2 lore, which is massive. So just a good tempo list. Definitely check this one out. It's tried and true. We've seen him do really well with it so far. But moving on, we have DKP, and DKP just running the list that he's pretty much gotten to be known for. Something to note though is he did the changes from his DLC Melbourne list is he added 1 crab and 2 hideaways. The hideaways just helping with McDuck Manors. It's helping with Lucky Dimes that get cheated out early with Oswald. It's just answering Lucky Dimes so you just don't lose to that. Tamatoa, just something for more. Like, it's something for more draw, right? It's still quest for 2. It still lets you pull back 2 items. So it's essentially helping you dig even more, which is nice. Like, I mean, why not, right? That's essentially why you run 2 Flaversham with only 4 item, because why not, right? And if Tamatoa turns out to work really well, he swaps the Hirams for the 2 more Tamatoas. Probably not, but that's kind of what he's done here is he cut down from 3 Flavershams to 1 Tamatoa. He may have been on 4, but it's neither here nor there. It's the tried and true DKP burn list, the red blue burn list that he's been running. You ramp, you get to like 6 ink and kind of sit there for the rest of the game because you don't have to go higher. And you get your sharks out, you get your pirate's life out, but more importantly, you can get your McDuck Manors out and just kind of control the board. They turn sideways, so you hit them with super goofs. They get a bunch of characters out to try and swing into your McDuck Manor the next turn, so you prep them. Oh, and now that you've contained all of that, I'm just gonna have some half sharks down. So you worry about those. I'm gonna have some half sharks down. They're going to sing Pirate's Life, and I'm gonna gain, if I have one half shark, I'm going to gain 3 lore off of 1 pirate's life. If I have 2, I'm going to gain 4 lore off of 1 pirate's life. Like, just some nutty things going on with this list. Let it go for some easy removal. So we'll see how this list does into some of these blue steel lists, right? It's more low to the ground. I don't know. I'm excited to see. We didn't see a lot of this red blue burn at the Southside Gaming 10 case event. So I'm excited to see how this list does into a lot of this blue steel song. Is it going to turn the tides and it's going to be like, wow, guys, this is way good into blue steel song. Maybe we need to switch it up. And now we're back to a lot of DKP burn, which is kind of where we ended set 6 at. So LCCC is going to help show us that. So let's see what happens. Next up, we have Baoxsb. We have another blue steel list. This one is very different though. We have 4 Mulans. Essentially, those Mulans just helping you dig, right? That's what's happening here. You can kind of filter for whatever card you want. It's still a 2/1. It's still a 1-drop that can, kind of challenge into things on the board, not let purple kind of quest away if they wanted to. If you're going against like purple steel, you still have the bells for the 1-drop. This one opting to run quite a few items. We're running 4 Shield of Arendelle. So our total number of items, 4, 8, 12, 14, 15, 16, 20, 22, 26 items in this list right here. So we were running a lot of items. We're really hoping to get an Oswald off and kind of go to town and see what happens. So it's going to be interesting because you really have to high roll with that Oswald. If you're in the mirror and they open with a bell, you have to just hope that they don't have strength of a raging fire or let the storm rage on. And if they do, then you're stuck with a lot of items that what are you going to do? It is kinda scary, but, I mean, if you hard keep Maurice's workshop, then all these items are gonna pay off. You're gonna get these massive, massive hands, so that is something to consider as well. Opting to run the 2 Gramatalas as your kind of finisher. Notice there's no dime here. There's no dime, no Tamatoas. What an interesting list that I'm really excited for. I mean, if you get a Grammatala out, we're running Great Stone Dragon and Fishbone Quill. So if you get these Maurice's workshops out, you start questing a whole bunch, and then you get these Fishbone Quills and Great Stone Dragons, and you're inking 3 per turn. And then so Grammatala is gaining you 3 lore per turn. So I could see some wacky things happening. This is a different blue steel list. I'm excited to see what it does. I'm really excited. You have these Shield of Arendelles as well. Shield of Arendelle giving your Grandma Tala resist a bunch, right? Resist 1 until the start of your next turn per shield. Also, Imperial Bow works on Mulan, so that's kind of cool. It doesn't just work on Mulan. It works on Mulan, Oswald, Belle, and Scrooge McDuck. So it does work on quite a bit of your field. I'm excited to see what he does. I'm excited to see what happens with this Grandma Tala because that is the win condition. I mean, sure, you might get some incremental lore from your characters, but not a lot. Grandma Tala is going to have to do a lot of the work. So is it going to be enough? I mean, if you just have a bunch of Fishbone Quill, it's 1 lore. You're not limited to just 1 Great Stone Dragon and 1 Fishbone Quill. If you have 3 down, 3 quills, and 2 stone dragons, and you ink, that's 3, 4, 5, 6 lore, and then quest with Grandma Tala, that's 8 lore. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I'm excited. I think this will be fun to see as well. I'm excited for a lot of these lists. Like I really am. Everybody's tired of seeing Blue Steel already, but I'm excited to see just how it's developing, all the different ways that people are testing it. And you've got to admit, like you've got to like that. All right. Maybe we don't like Bell, but Bell's the reason that all these Blue Steel lists are even possible. Like let's be honest, if it wasn't for Bell, Blue Steel just wouldn't be possible again. And that's just the facts of the matter. So at least it's possible. It can something be done? Maybe, but still early in the meta, ladies and gentlemen. Don't freak out just yet. Calm down. Calm down. Moving on though, we have Domingo. He's running. Look at this. Look at this list. Ladies and gentlemen, Domingo, all right, is running a red purple mill deck. Like, yes. Just yes. Look, I mean, Mad Hatter, mill, Earth Giant, mill, Madame Medusa, mill, Show Me more mill, A Very Merry on Birthday, more mill, Chromacons, mill, like Mad Hatter's Teapot, more mill. This is so cool. Like this has to be my favorite list of the whole thing so far. Like I love Mo's green blue. I think green blue it's really growing on me, but this is just awesome. Like I want to see this work. I wish Donald Duck said for the rest of the game. That would make Donald Duck so much better and so much more playable, but I want to see him win a game because of Donald Duck, or even if Donald Duck had Ward, make Donald Duck quest for nothing. Make Donald Duck quest for nothing and give it Ward. I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with that. But it's so easy to remove, like, but that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. This is going to be really cool to watch. I'm really excited. And I hope that someone gets milled. I really do. I hope that Domingo gets paired against Zan at some point, running that really heavy draw list of his. And then and then Domingo just goes in and mills him out. Like that would be so awesome to watch. Because generally the only time you get milled is if you're playing a steel song, like if you're playing against steel song. But this could legitimately mill someone out, and this is really exciting. So I'm rooting for you, Domingo. I am really rooting for you, and I hope that you just play some version of this the rest of the tournament. You are my Player's Choice Award, good sir. Moving on, though, we have Federico, and he is on red blue, and he's a kind so he's running more of the Sisu on Ice package as well. Four Maui half sharks and three Pirate's Life, opting to only run two Medusas. Sailor, of course, being on three. I think no, I think it was 2-3 as well here. Only one hideaway, but when you have Maui Half Shark, so this is really reminiscent of Sisu on Ice from early set 6 that Sailor had. One hideaway, one let it go. I think there was only one Pirate's Life, but Red Blues kind of realized how powerful the Pirate's Life is, so just opting to throw in more. Throwing in two McDuck Manors, just another win con. Two Tamatoas. It could be that one thing to keep in mind is for this tournament, proxies weren't allowed. I not no, never mind. That's the ICL. Sorry. Proxies may be allowed for this event, but the ICL proxies were not allowed. So may be allowed for this event, but still, it's a Sisu on Ice kind of build. Sisu on coil, really is what it is now. But just two Medusas, just great with the Sapphire coil. Two B prep, so you have the 5 for your board removal. But one thing we saw from Jonathan, from Mark, is how effective coil is in removing boards. Like, it just makes anything susceptible, and it's really annoying. But still running the high run package, of course. You have plenty of items for the high run package. So red blue, Sisu on Ice kind of package. Love to see it. Moving on, we have Spey, and Spey on this purple steel burn list. And I will say Spey is super excited about being able to change, because he can play some red steel burn, and then he can change it up to play some red steel mid kind of tempo, and there's just a lot of different things he could do. Throw in the Zeus package, throw in the Doc package versus the Rabbit package. And this time, he's opting to run a burn list. So he's got this early aggro. He's got 4, 8, 12, 16 one drops, all right, with the four Maleficents. He's got the Honey Marin to gain some free lore. He's got the 4 Cobras, which is just phenomenal into red blue. Remember, his first opponent is Sailor on red blue. So that's going to be really, like, this is going to be really effective for him, because those coils aren't going to do a lot of work. You don't necessarily mind the Sisus and the B preps, because a lot of your lore is going to come from these early characters anyways. So they've done their job by the time big Sisu comes down, by the time B prep comes down. And then you've got this package down here, this 4, this is my family, which is drawing you a card and gaining 1 lore, as well as 4 gathering knowledge, gaining you 2 lore. You've got the goats gaining you 2 lore. The only thing that, the only burn that he's missing in this list is if he wanted to throw in white roses. Instead, he's opted to play 4 binjas. And I think those binges could just be white roses, but we'll kind of see how this list also continues to develop as the tournament goes on. I like it. I think it's fun. I think it's gonna fare rather well into Sailor as well. He's gonna have to come ready to fight. One thing you do have to worry about, though, with this list is there is no way this list can remove Maui Half Shark. So Sailor can essentially just hard mulligan for Maui Half Shark, get Maui Half Shark down, play Pirate's Life. Maybe that's a route. Maybe that's too slow. Maybe you can't hard mulligan for a Maui Half Shark, but I don't know. Just thinking thoughts of a non-red blue player. So I'm excited to see how that game 1 goes, though. But moving on, we have LD, and he is running blue steel. This is more of a Kiwi version so this is definitely a very Kiwi version. Opting to cut the Plutos for the Tamatoas, which is a really, really good move. Like, the Tamatoa, just between that and Hiram Flaversham, you just have so much draw now. It allows them to not have to worry about Doc at all, and so you lose those uninkables. So the deck now, let's see, 5, 6, 7. Is that no, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 uninkables feels really good for a tempo deck that can't it still goes pretty fast. You have a lot of characters that are questing for 2, like one, here Cogsworth can, Tamatoa is questing for 2 while drawing you 2 essentially, and then you could still play an item for free if you needed to, or if you could, like maybe you top deck it and you quest to play a popsicle for free. And then of course you have the McDuck Manor. So again, just another it's a Kiwi esque list, not the items, not the really like just a Kiwi list running the song package coming in here. So the Zeus is sticking around because they just answer so much really well. I think Zeus is considerably weaker without, the Scrooge package and items, but because you're not singing that till turn 5, and that kind of feels bad because you have no ramp, right? So now if you get this Zeus in your early hand, you have this card that just sits there. You could cast it on turn 4, but then you're losing a lot of tempo, and that doesn't really feel super good. So I think there's a world where they can just kind of ignore these Zeuses. They could even throw in other inkables of some sort, or just throw in 3 Alices and go the full Kiwi route, kind of go that direction. I don't know. Still early, lots of testing. It feels nice to run this song package though. So moving on, we have Brian. All right, Brian is on the Oswald list. Okay, so he is very much on this Zan list. This is a culmination of Zan and Jeremy. So on 3 Tipos and 3 Maurice's workshops. Only 2 Tamatoas. I think Zan and Jeremy were running 4, so that would explain where the extra Maurice's workshop and the Tipo came from, opting to run the last cannon as well. So for items, we're on 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 items. Opting to run, of course, the whole song package, the Cindy package with Bell, Let the Storm Rage On, and Strength of a Raging Fire. So it's a very just Zan type item list, but with his own kind of twist on it. I do like more Maurice's workshops, like, being completely honest. Like, we saw what would happen when the deck didn't see Maurice's workshop and when it did. And it was a night and day difference. Maurice's workshop just does so much to get this deck really going, to get this deck speeding along, getting all the cards it really wants, getting out the Tamatoas and the Lucky Dimes, and just bam. I mean, we saw in the finals, where Jeremy had the Maurice's workshops down, was able to do a whole bunch of stuff, went from 4 to 20 in 1 turn. And Maurice's workshop is really what powers that along. So our last list coming up, we have Zach Bivens on some Steel Song. And this is going to look really familiar because this is the exact same list that we saw Wochuk run. So big shout out to Wochuk. He made top 16 with Steel Song. A lot of people saying Steel Song is dead. A lot of people saying it can't stand up right now. But also he played against, oh crap, Otto. He played against, I believe it's Otto, running the red blue items list, and stood really well against it. He was able, I think it ended in 8-7 for red blue, so they didn't get to play their full best of 20. But still, a lot of people saying Steel Song can't beat red blue. A lot of people saying Steel Song's dead, and it was 8-7 when the game had to end before they had to go. So the list is still good. It's still early, so some tweaking to be done. Um, Personally, I think there is a world where maybe you run a 4th Zeus, but at the same time, like, World's Greatest Criminal Mind's a great answer. I think also there's a where we have so much blue steel. I think there's a world where we can start cutting some Cinderellas. If you're running Bianca, you can start running more allies to really guarantee that early Bianca. But I don't think you ever go lower than 3, and I don't think there's any other one drops because Nala's nice, but Nala also feels really bad. Like, she doesn't do anything other than kind of sits there. She's a great Rapunzel target, but if you don't see Rapunzel, then she just feels bad just questing for one, whereas Cinderella is a threat that your opponent is always worried about. So that's something to be said. There was a lot of people that thought Gaston just wouldn't stand now because of Coil, but we saw time and time again today where Wochuk was able to sing Whole New World with Gaston because Red Blue just can't be they can't be using their turn 2 to play Coil. Like that's just how it is. Their turn 2 is way too important to their ultimate game plan. Maybe they use their turn 2 to play Coil and cool, they shut down your Gaston, but they won the battle but lose the war kind of thing. So it was neat to see the list run really well. You really he Wojciech really showcased what the list can do. Zach Bivens just did pretty well, I believe, at the South SGC. It wasn't Southside Gaming, but it was just another big event. I believe it was set 6 only though, but we'll see Zach and how he does with Steel Song. I think it's in a great place this set. I think No Shift especially in a good place, you know, showcasing the Biancas, showcasing the Turtles, the Troubadours. So we'll see how he rock and rolls. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll kind of just go back to the first page. But yeah, so the LCCC, the legendary cross-continental clash. If you guys want to stay up to date on how everything is looking, I will be posting weekly what all the deck lists look like once I'm allowed to do it. So keep an eye out for that. Like, follow, all whatever, so you can see those. I'll have all the deck lists. All the deck lists will be in the description down below. I will also be posting on Facebook and on the 20 Lord Discord all of the different streaming platforms where you can watch them, because it's going to be different commentators for all the matches and they'll be streaming on their platforms. So stick around for that. I'll have the times for the matches, I'll have the dates, I'll have the casters, all of that, as well as the judges for it, especially if it's not Phil for it. And Pavel does a great job of trying to get us casters in many different languages as well. So it's going to be an amazing event. Stick around. The LCCC is one of my favorite things that happens. Like, guys, Lorcana, we're just killing it. The community is killing it. We just had the ICL. As I'm recording this, I believe they're finishing up their games. We have amazing tournaments. The Hunter Burton coming up. The community's killing it. I love it. I can't wait to see how all these matches go. Ladies and gentlemen, though, with that, that's the end of the video. Remember, though, above all else, stay happy and healthy. I'll see you around.